r/QAnonCasualties. QAnon is a far-right political conspiracy theory and political movement that originated in 2017. QAnon centers on fabricated claims made by an anonymous individual or individuals known as Q. Those claims have been relayed and developed by online communities and influencers. Trump derangement syndrome. I sell my pottery at craft fairs. The woman in the booth next to me and I started talking about a local business going bankrupt and laying off a lot of locals. She completely seriously said we should call Trump so he could fix it? What is she seeing on her social media that made her think Trump cares or can do anything about a business going bankrupt? They see him as a god or this loving father. Anyone else see this? He's the reason small businesses are failing. He takes joy in it. All his life, he's made a career out of it. Since I was a month old, he's been sued by people. That is 5 decades, more than 4,000 lawsuits, contractors, small businesses, small investors, bigger businesses, etc, etc. 5 decades. It teaches him nothing. He'll learn nothing. He is but a 2-bit con artist, but overstuffed with money he never merited, nor was able to multiply. Yeah, he's learned he can get away with it, because he does. So, my parents think vaccines cause autism now. These are people with college, STEM, and law school degrees. God help us. Edit, my sister said they were also talking about how measles isn't that big of a deal. Someone's been sipping the RFK Kool-Aid. And to them, I'm a radical intolerant left because I'm autistic? I'm not autistic, but they decide that I am because they don't like my politics. Unfortunately, you've joined a very unfun club. I've been called a radical left professor by my QAnon MAGA boomer parents. They aren't college educated though, so that must even be tougher. Just goes to show how powerful mind control is, and how it can work on anyone. I used to be a conservative, but then I grew up, and my parents have never recovered. I went to college and did drugs and learned woke biology, and my best friend is trans and my boyfriend is Latino, and they made me become woke, and now I'm literally the deep stain. Here's a quote from my MAGA grandma today. Why would anyone want to vote for someone who says they're gonna raise your taxes? Are they stupid? My lord, you live off of nothing but social security. Anti-tax people seem to think that funding for government services and infrastructure comes from unicorn farts. My grandma always whines about how she doesn't want her taxes going to immigrants. She thinks they get free housing, healthcare, and $2,000 a month. Like, ma'am, those immigrants paid for your Medicaid. She really doesn't understand tariffs then. They are a fucking tax that is disproportionately applied to working class and poor people. Also, spending in the government has been increasing this year, and has increased over spending from last year already. And firing all of those people in HHS has only reduced their financial obligation by less than 0.5%. It's actually going to cost significantly more in the medium and long term. Is conspiratorial thinking more common than it is not? There was a plane crash that happened in Philly last month, from friends, family, and people I don't even know. You would see it. Do not tell me this wasn't an accident. This was not a plane, it was a missile. Point being, the person that took it at face value was imbecilic in the eyes of these enlightened individuals. I don't watch conspiracy theories, my algorithm is not tailored towards this type of content, nor do I seek it out. It was just the going narrative. This is anything but what it was. Yeah, counterculture is meant to rustle some feathers, piss people off, get you booed off stage like Bob Dylan going electric. Maybe that's how they view themselves, pushing back against the normies? Little do they know, this is a common mindset now. everyone's gone electric. What's even wilder is that I'd go as far to associating these traits with normies. It's commonplace now for any random asshole to start lecturing me about fucking MK Ultra or Hollywood rituals, but believing it as though it's some kind of groundbreaking information. Yeah, I know, Operation whatever, CIA, I know, just put the fries in the bag, bro. In my life, I can only think of a handful of people who only believe things are reasonable to believe, or look into outlandish claims with a rational and intelligent mind. Maybe 1 out of 10. It does my fucking head in to have to listen to everyone else gleefully spreading propaganda and misinformation and magic as the real truth, knowing that if I interject even in a nice way, I'll soon be having an argument and ostracizing myself a little bit more. You would think the contrarians would have noticed by now that they're mainstream, but I think unfortunately they've chosen not to notice that, and are carrying on as if they're still a fringe minority. It does my fucking head in to have to listen to everyone gleefully spreading propaganda and misinformation and magic as the real truth. I had a mild panic attack from this the other day, when the reality of what's been going on this past few years has finally set in. This is the new normal. There's no such thing as truth anymore. All the family I have left are MAGA. As the title says, my grandma and my mum are both heavy MAGA. I still don't know what happened. My mum is suddenly anti-trans. She marched for LGBT rights back when marriage was still illegal. My grandma is screeching about how immigrants are R-ing women and children, and pulling up obviously fake statistics. Both are in such heavy denial of anything and tell me, "Oh, you're too young to understand what this country needs." I'm almost 30. It hurts me so badly. I was finally repairing my relationship with them both, and now they've donned red hats and scream at the top of the rooftops about how Trump's a blessing. I don't know what to do. The worst part, my grandma sent me a birthday card this year, and it had subjects such as, "Watch the real congressional hearings. You'll see testimonies from real women and children who were assaulted. I demand respect." And so on. I don't know what to do. I'm already super low contact with them, and I'm lucky to have my partner. But I just miss my family. Nothing I say breaks through anymore. No fags, nothing. It's like they've been completely turncoated. Any advice welcome on how to get this pit out of my stomach? Eden, I can't believe all the advice and kind words. Thank you guys. I feel a bit better, and I'm gonna take steps to simply rip off the bandage. I need to take care of myself and my chosen family. Thank you again, guys. This helped a lot. Time to build new family. Sucks, I know. I finally cut my mum off a few days ago. She can ask her church and Mango Mussolini for support. It shouldn't be this way, but it is. Straight up death cult. They voted to kill themselves. It really sucks, and I'm sorry for your loss. We both shouldn't have to cut people out because they preach hate. It's just awful. Likewise, I hope Wisconsin's win last night is the start of better things. I'm also going to the hands-off protest. You should definitely go too if you're near one, and can get time off work. Every little bit of pushback helps. Hopefully our family will wake up before it's too late. Me and 3 friends are going. We're sick of it all. That's the horrible reality of MAGA at this point. It's more than just politics now, and belief systems and logic in general. To a point, it's kinda scary. It sucks. Let me tell y'all, my mum has gone MAGA as well. I really miss her, but I don't think I'll ever have a relationship with her ever again. My mum has called teachers groomers. I'm a teacher. And gone on her Facebook page to post about how she can't wait for all the Fed workers to lose her jobs. My husband is a federal worker. There's times I feel like an orphan, even at 41. My 99-year-old grandma passed away this week, and as much as I wanted to go to the funeral, I couldn't spend the money because my husband and I are watching our spending in case it gets redundant. I found some comfort in Reddit threads, but I really do miss my family. I totally get that. I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope your husband can keep his job. Good luck out there, and thank you. I'm also a teacher, and I've had my family say my literal degree in history is useless to me when they are less educated? Lol. Family friend we haven't seen in a few years came to visit, and she is destroying her life because of Trump. No idea how she fell down the MAGA hole. It happened not so long after she moved from New Jersey to South Carolina. Recently, she was visiting relatives for Passover, and went to my mother's house to stay for a few days. After she got finished explaining chemtrails in great detail to my poor mother, she casually mentions that she's tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, and the credit card companies have started harassing her. Mum and I were like, why? What happened? Thinking she had some medical issue or something and had to charge it to pay for it. No, she's just not paying because Trump is gonna cancel all our credit card debt. Mum and I were just like, what? There was no talking sense into her. Even when we asked what she would do if, hypothetically, Trump doesn't cancel her debt, she's like, nothing will happen to me, they can't do anything to an old lady. She's not that old. And also, you can't go to jail for debt anymore. I was like, that's technically true, but if they get judgments against you and you don't comply, then yeah, you can definitely end up in jail. In the end, we had to just agree to disagree. It's so disorientating, because unlike other maggots in my life, she is still the super sweet and generous person she always was. Like, for this trip, she made little charm bracelets for every person she planned to see. Each one with charms that reflect the person's interest. Mine has a tiny can, a little guitar and a microphone, an owl and a mug of tea. But her delusions are rock solid in her mind, and that's why I believe at this point MAGA's more of a cult than a political movement. I mean, geez, just look at the Trump store. They're charging hand and fist for $50 hats and stuff like that. This is probably one of the saddest Q stories I've heard. Sounds like she's truly in a cult, and would drink the lethal Kool-Aid if asked. I'm sorry for your friend and for her friends who will likely be in the awkward position of having to financially help or abandon her one day. Reminds me of those little old ladies who think they've found love, and then you find out it's a man from Nigeria or some other country, and she's just sent him money to help out his family. But he's gonna send the money for her any month. My father-in-law has a close friend that's going through this. He had to get the kids involved and stop them from sending any more money. Did it all start with COVID for you guys as well? I'm an only child of two 62 and 66-year-old parents. My father has a narcissistic personality, and my mother has always been the nice enabler. Totally aloof. My childhood wasn't exactly a breeze, but it wasn't due to extreme right views. In 2020, my father started to go down the rabbit hole. I'm the biggest nationist you'll ever meet. Etc, etc, never got vaccinated, and my mother followed his theories. Fast forward to today, although COVID is no longer a problem where I live, I'm in Europe, and nobody talks about it anymore here on the news, since like 2022. It's like they haven't forgot it, and still talk about it any chance they get. And also started talking about immigrants and a bunch of things I didn't even understand. They vote for the neo-Nazis in my country nowadays, but get offended when I tell them they're extreme rightists. They seem to confuse these parties' ideals with freedom ideals. How? I avoid talking politics with them and always play grey rock, but I can see that they're down some pretty weird conspiracies, and it all started with COVID. Alas, no. 2017. Right when people were becoming aware that Dear Leader wasn't actually a good president. The QAnonCasualties is all about resolving their cognitive dissonance about picking the objectively worse option. Oh, abjectly awful in public? He must be doing something secretly awesome. And then they reinforce this chosen reality for each other. For non-Americans, I can only believe that the secret knowledge and community aspect is what is appealing. It's so biased. Makes perfect sense what you said about why it's appealing to non-Americans as well. In 2020/2021, my father used to say, "I know things you don't know," referring to big secrets about COVID land in weird websites and Facebook posts. So it must give him a sense of community and of being above that as a narcissist he must love. My mother just follows him probably because she doesn't want to be alone and divorce, so adhering to his views is the easiest path. Mum says she's removing herself from my life. Ended up getting into a really heated argument with my Q mum yesterday because I was questioning her beliefs, specifically calling Michelle Obama Big Mike. She got so defensive, it was like she turned into a cobra and started spewing venom at me, and ultimately said she didn't want to be in my life anymore, which in turn means she's also removing herself from my 1-year-old daughter's life. I have so many feelings. First, I'm completely livid. I'm also crushed and heartbroken. This has been coming to a head for a while, and finally exploded. I can't stand the way my mum's been acting, but that didn't mean I want to lose her. But I'm also not going to go back to begging for forgiveness and apologising for stuff I didn't do. I miss who she was before. Maybe it's for the best if you can continue to hold on to your old memories, because this person she's become is not the person you really want in your life. But don't let these old memories fool you into thinking she gets another chance. If they're a completely different person, a person you don't like anymore, it's just best to cut them off. Save your old memories, but don't forget they've changed. Like, do you really want your child exposed to these ideals? I doubt it. I think we all know how the Qs are feeling about Abrego Garcia. These are the same people who would have gone to a witch burning in Salem because the previous one was such a hoon. These situations break families up. Just look at the American Civil War, English Reformation, the rise of the Nazis in Germany. In America, we characterize our Civil War as brother against brother, and in some cases that's exactly what it was. People with consciences can't be nice and play patty cakes at the Thanksgiving table with witch burners. There's a fresh rash of stories in the media about younger people who are aghast at the treatment they're getting from their Trumpster family members. Families split in times like we're in, it's just normal and natural in that respect. Most people seem to have unrealistic notions of what they might inherit materially, so be sure to avoid that reason to keep a Q in your life. People with consciences can't be nice and play patty cakes at a Thanksgiving table with witch burners. I firmly believe that generation after generation attempting to do so is part of the reason we're in this mess. My older generations in my family have always talked about how you are never supposed to talk about religion or politics. The age of Facebook has opened a lot of wounds. Seems like the society previous generations engaged in required a lot of turning a blind eye to bad behavior. Yeah, they did that. They normalized polite conversation and breaking bread with Nazis. They enabled the worst people to be even worse, all in the name of an unworkable and unjust peace and civility. Brother-in-law lost interest in Q. Now he's into Christian nationalism and end of times prophecy. Is that better or worse? I want to know if y'all think that is a step up or a step down. He barely graduated high school, never did anything after that. I think the only book he's ever read was The Secret. Was super into Q during 45, but has made the leap into Christian nationalism and the end of times prophecy during 47. He is now trying to scripture to UFOs, aliens, gods, politicians, the Pope, and whatever fever dream fuckery any social media personality is telling him to think and believe. So, what do you think? Let me know if you have any questions. Well, that's always been where Q followers were supposed to end up. Yep, my mum went from government bad to Alex Jones conspiracies to flat earth theory. We were not religious at all when I was younger, and now she rants about how the Bible is literal fact. It is the craziness end goal. Isn't that so odd how that works? I have several relatives who were never churchgoers that suddenly became very, very into Jesus. My dad is in recovery. I joined this subreddit years ago because my dad was falling into the Q hole. He would send me insane articles about nonsense all the time during COVID. The worst part is that he's a university professor and teaches hundreds of students every year. I had such a horrible relationship with him, I even stopped talking to him for about 6 months back in 2022. I wanted to share, however, that he is in recovery from being an insane conspiracy theorist. It turns out he had an undiagnosed disease that caused him a lot of pain in 2023, and he finally got treatment for it. Once he wasn't so lonely and in so much pain, I think he finally realized that he needed to step away from his computer and engage with the real world again. In 2024, he even voted for Kamala, which was so shocking to me. I'm not naive enough to think that he's suddenly resolved all of the bigotry that sucked him into the Q in the first place, but I do think he's managed to work himself out of that deep, dark hole of insanity. I just wanted to offer a tentatively happy story. And I also found it very interesting that right-wing ideology so clearly preys on vulnerable people, my dad being sick, and once he was less vulnerable, he was able to break away from it. Why are they so upset about being unfriended from Facebook? After the inauguration, I unfriended any Trump voters off of my Facebook. Mostly for my sanity. I also wanted to post political things if I wanted to without lengthy arguments in the comments. I do realise this creates an echo chamber for myself, but at this point, I'm just done trying to converse about any of it with conservatives. It's the men who are the most angry. First was my uncle, who I hardly interact with on Facebook at all. He took it as a personal betrayal and a statement by me that I don't accept him in our family anymore. He joined our family about 9 years ago. I tried to reassure him that that's not the case. I'm just setting some boundaries. Why are boundaries the most abhorrent thing to them? They act like it's some woke nonsense designed to tear families apart, and that they should have access to you and your thoughts and feelings at all times. Now my best friend's husband is upset, and consequently my best friend is too. She said he didn't do anything to me personally, and she's right, but I don't know how to explain it to her. Maybe I'm wrong? Maybe I shouldn't have deleted every person, just the politically vocal ones? I'm simultaneously annoyed though that it's such a big deal, and also sort of feel bad. I'd simply say we support and believe different things. Our values are different, so I honestly don't think either of us are missing out on what the other has to say. That's what I told mine. I don't have a real life relationship, just like we always have. We don't see each other much, once or twice a year usually, and I don't want to see that stuff anymore. These people who post nothing but Trump shit and hating on Democrats, it's so embarrassing. Well, this is why I deleted my Facebook altogether. Honestly, thinking about it, I hardly go on anymore anywhere, but I feel like I have to scroll through 15 plus years of photos and such to download, and that feels daunting. Oh yeah, I deleted my Facebook for the same reasons a few years ago. There was a button somewhere in my account settings that allowed me to download all of my data. It made folders for all my photo albums, and it also made text files for all my chats. Only took 15 minutes. Best decision I've ever made. I'm gonna do this, thanks! Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if any of you guys have any stories or encounters with anyone you know, or even don't know, that's a casualty of QAnon or the MAGA cult, feel free to discuss it in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed. See you later, and have a good day.